Welcome to another episode of Anything Football with your host, Coach Chris, broadcasting you live from Buffalo, New York. So, it is day one of the off season for the NFL, and for those of you that watched last night's Super Bowl 55, you saw a complete and utter decimation of the Kansas City Chiefs. I woke up feeling so happy about it. As I said, I am a Buffalo Bills fan, and 2 weeks ago when we lost to Kansas City, that wound still hasn't healed. So I was pro Tom Brady, pro Tampa Bay going into the Super Bowl, and you saw the results of what happens when you have a really good quarterback. Excuse me. There's a few things to take away from this game. I want to break the game down a little bit. All right, not too much. I'm not going to spend too much time because for those of you that watched it, you saw what happened. There's no need for me to, dive deep into the X's and O's. But I want to talk about, excuse me, I want to talk about the externals around the game. Okay, and when you watch a football game, if you don't come away from a game going or saying to yourself, hey, this happened, that happened, this is why this happened, this is why that happened, if you're not doing that, you're not paying attention. But going into the Super Bowl, obviously it was old school versus new school. Tom Brady, the long-standing GOAT, versus Patrick Mahomes and the new GOAT, the young GOAT, or whatever you want to call him, which after last night, I think they need to not pump the brakes on that, but they need to slam the brakes, rip the emergency brake, and bring that damn thing to a stop because Mahomes is not going to be the GOAT. I said that last week. I'm going to say it again. He's a good quarterback, borderline great. I gave my opinions on that. He was put on a team that was playoff made before he got there. I do not see him with his style of quarterbacking having the kind of career that Tom Brady has, especially now with Tom Brady having won his seventh Super Bowl and 10 Super Bowl appearance, and Mahomes 1 for 2. Okay, we need to put that to shame. We need to put that to rest. That's it. It's over. Okay, Mahomes is not the GOAT. Mahomes, at best, is going to be a generation quarterback. He's going to be, in this next decade, which most generations span is usually 10 years, he is going to be one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the league for the next 10 years if he plays for the next 10 years. Okay, that's as far as it's going to go. Okay, he's not going to win 7 Super Bowls and pass Tom Brady or even catch Tom Brady. Excuse me. At most, he's going to win maybe 2 more. 2 more. The reason I say that is because you got to look at the way the NFL is shaped today. With free agency and the way the draft is, these players running for teams, trying to scoop up the money. Players will go to bad teams for more money. You see it all the time. Trades. It's going to be hard to keep that nucleus on the offense together and the defense. You don't know how much longer Andy Reid's going to coach. Okay. You don't know in the next year or two, whenever their contracts come up, if they can keep Tyreek Hill and Kelsey. They might get rid of Watkins because he isn't doing jack for that team. And who do you bring in? So it's really hard to keep the pieces of the puzzle together, which is going to affect how this team plays down the next 4 or 5 years. But enough of that crap. Okay, Mahomes is not the GOAT. He's not going to be the GOAT. There is only one GOAT, and that is Tom Brady. If you don't walk away last night saying Tom Brady is the greatest of all time, there's something wrong with you, and you need to fact check yourself. Just like there's always only going to be one Michael Jordan, there's only going to be one Wayne Gretzky, there's only going to be one Tom Brady. All right, I again, I keep stressing this because analysts and fans see a new guy come into the league and take the league by storm and have instant success for at least a year and a half. And everybody's, oh, he's going to be the next Tom Brady. Oh, stop, just stop, okay? Just stop with that crap, okay? Because we saw it. I heard the same stuff. I heard the same stuff about, what was his name? Johnny Manziel. I heard the same stuff about Baker Mayfield. I heard the same stuff about Lamar Jackson. You know, and the list goes on. You hear it all the time. Okay. They're flash in the pans. Now, Mahomes is not a flash in the pan type player. He's going to be a good player. He's going to be around for a long time. I just don't think they're going to win as many Super Bowls as analysts have predicted. That's just my take on it. So I think in that regards, again, let's just slam on the brakes, grab that emergency brake, rip it up, pull it back, bring that damn thing to a stop, park it for a while, because last night they literally got destroyed. Okay. Mahomes going into this game, after this game, not before, Mahomes after this game had the third worst QB rating in Super Bowl history. It can be argued that Mahomes completely choked in this game. I'll put some of the blame on Mahomes, but if you watch that game, clearly what you saw was the G.O.A.T dismantle their defense and a good defensive line and a good defense in Todd Bowles just literally shut down the Chiefs' offense. They shut down a Chiefs offense that was highly explosive, fast, and dangerous. And they shut them down. I'm gloating in the fact that Mahomes and the Kansas City organization got dismantled. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it because I can't stand when these sports analysts focus on one guy on a team. One guy does not make the team. I don't care how good you are. Tom Brady is the GOAT, but if Tom Brady don't have good receivers to throw to, even Tom Brady's going to struggle, okay? But anyways, going back to what I originally said. If you didn't walk away thinking, yeah, Tom Brady's the GOAT, you probably shouldn't be watching football. And if you're a Kansas City fan, don't make any excuses, all right? Your team just got the shit beat out of them. They were out muscled, out physical, whatever. They had no game plan, no answer for Tom Brady in the offense, and they certainly had no answer for Todd Bowles and his defense, okay? So, I think, all things aside, the one thing you certainly can take away from last night's Super Bowl is Tom Brady is the GOAT. Hands down. So what I want to do right now is I just want to quickly go over and give you some stats here, just to clarify. And a lot of these stats, more on the Chiefs side than the Buccaneers side, is a little bloated because, you know, when a team is blowing out another team, the defense usually pulls back a little bit. They take the foot off the gas a little bit, and what happens is you get the quarterback that starts hitting their receivers for what we call garbage yards. And that's exactly what happened in the fourth quarter. Everything Kansas City did to drive the ball down the field, it was just nothing but garbage stats. Okay? They did get all the way down the field and throw an interception. So, total yards for the game. Kansas City 350, Bucks 340. Again, 350, that's garbage yards. Half of that probably came in the fourth quarter once the Buccaneers defense knew that, hey, we have this game in hand. We can just sit back in a deep zone and just give them underneath stuff. Passing yards, again, bloated. 195 Buccaneers, 243 Kansas City. And that happens when you're down. You're not going to run the football. You're going to just start throwing the football more. Rushing yards, Tampa Bay 145, Kansas City 107. I don't think Edwards-Helaire is the running back they thought he was going to be. I don't know. He might still be a good running back. I don't have a problem with him. He's decent. We'll see how good he turns out in the next year. Yards per play, Tampa Bay 5.4, Kansas City 5.1. First downs, 26 to 22 in favor of Tampa Bay. Third down efficiency, 4 of 12 for Tampa Bay, 3 of 13 for Kansas City. Fourth down efficiency, Tampa Bay was 0 for 1, and that was the goal line stance, which Kansas City defense showed up. The only time their defense showed up was on that scene. Kansas City was 1 of 3. Total place 69 to 63 in favor of Kansas City. Sacks allowed. This was key. 3 sacks allowed by Kansas City, 1 allowed by Tampa Bay. Penalties, 11 for 120 yards on Kansas City. Four penalties for 39 yards for Tampa Bay. Interceptions, my favorite stat. 2-0 in favor of Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay had no interceptions. Kansas City had 2. So let me give you the individual statistics for the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes, 26 of 49 for 270 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Rushing, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 9 carries, 64 yards, 7.1 average. Mahomes, 5 carries, 33 yards. The rest not worth mentioning. Receiving yards, Travis Kelce, 10 receptions for 133 yards. Tyreek Hill, 7 receptions for 73 yards. Now again, I know Kelce, 133 yards. Again, majority of that was garbage stats from the fourth quarter because Buccaneers had basically laid off and said, okay, we got this game. They just didn't want to get beat deep, so they let them have everything underneath. Tom Brady, 21 of 29 for 201 yards, 3 touchdowns. Leonard Fournette, 16 carries, 89 yards, 5.6 per average. Ronald Jones Jr. I like this guy. He's going to be a good running back. 12 carries, 61 yards. Receiving, Rob Gronkowski, the Gronk. 6 receptions, 67 yards. Leonard Fournette, 4 receptions, 46 yards. Mike Evans, 1 catch, 31 yards. I thought he had more than 1 than that. Cameron Brate, 3 receptions for 26 yards, and Antonio Brown, 5 receptions for 22 yards, and Chris Godwin, 2 receptions for 9 yards. That's literally like 6 guys that Tom Brady spread the ball around to. Tom Brady knows what he's doing. So statistically, the stats don't really show much because they're pretty much even. But if you watch the game, it was an utter decimation of the Kansas City Chiefs. Okay, and I was a happy football fan for the 4 hours that I sat there and watched it. What I particularly love is the fact that Kansas City didn't score a single touchdown in the game. Not one. 3 field goals. That was it. 3 field goals. Todd Bowles deserves all the credit in the world. The guy was a mastermind last night in disassembling Patrick Mahomes' offense. But again, this is what you do when you have a solid defense, but you've got a defensive line up front that can get pressure on the quarterback. And that's exactly what they did. They came out in the first half, they played man, two deep safeties. They didn't give up anything deep because they know Tyreek Hill is not going to beat you underneath. They knew in second and long or whatever, first and long, they're going to try to go at Tyreek Hill. They know in third and short, they're going to Kelsey. So what they did was the first half, they pretty much jammed them at the line, didn't let the receivers get off, get into their routes, which is what I said. When you want to take away speed, that's the best way to do it. They had two safeties over the top, one covered Hill. By the way, Tyreek Hill double covered all game. How many times was he one-on-one? Zero. Zero times. They rotated double coverage on Kelsey. At times the safety was over the top with the corner covering him, and then at times it was a corner and a linebacker covering him, which left two linebackers in the middle to focus on Mahomes, anything over the middle, and Edwards-Helaire. When you have a front four that can get to the quarterback quick, when you have Shaq Barrett and JPP that can get to the quarterback quick and get him off his spot, and you jam the receivers at the line, you don't prolong the play, you break down the time Mahomes has to make a decision and where to go with the football. And what you saw was Mahomes running for his life majority of the football game because they did not allow their receivers to get into their routes, and when they did, they were locked down, they were double covered. Okay, now Kansas City had some drop balls, but you know what? That's just part of the game. That's just the way the game goes. Tampa Bay was afforded some penalties that got them another touchdown late in the first half, but again, that's just the way the game goes. Defensively, in the second half, Tampa Bay came out. They played more of a zone, still double covering Tyreek Hill, and still keeping an eye over Travis Kelsey. Okay, by that time, the game was pretty much out of control, and they sat back. They didn't give up anything deep. Okay, you can do that when you have a good defensive line. Now, if you go back, the game plan wasn't, the game plan was great, but it wasn't something that other defenses couldn't thought of or, come up with. It wasn't like Todd Bowles pulled something out of nowhere and everybody sat back and went, how did he do that? Because he has a complete defense that can do that. That's why. Go back to the AFC Championship game with Buffalo and Kansas City. The one thing that separated Buffalo from Tampa Bay's defense is we did not have any edge rushers. We did not have pass rushers. We could not get to Mahomes. And when you can't do that, Buffalo, along with the game plan, sat back in their soft zone and just stood there and let the receivers run scot-free. Okay, they should have jammed them at the line. They should have double covered Hill and Kelsey the whole game, which is what Tampa Bay did. But again, when you have a defensive line, that defensive line dominated Kansas City's offensive line. Now you'll probably hear excuses about how Kansas City were missing their two tackles. Whatever, bro. It's the Super Bowl. You gotta play. It's the Super Bowl. You gotta play it. The defense just manhandled, and they were physical, and that was the key. That's the key to slowing down speed. Is being physical, jam them at the line, make it hard for them. Don't just let them off the line of scrimmage and let them do what they want. Then you turn it into a pitch and catch. Okay? Kansas City didn't do themselves justice. They probably should have ran the ball a little bit more, but they got away from that. They came out in the third quarter. I think the first series they ran the ball, and then they went back to passing it because they probably felt pressured that they were down. They got to start throwing the football in hopes they come back. Well, when you as a defense force a team into just throwing the ball, 9 times out of 10 you're going to win. And that's what Todd Bowles did. And Todd Bowles should be an MVP of the game, really, to be honest with you, because he had a great defensive plan. He disguised a lot of things. They didn't blitz. That's the funny thing. They did not blitz. They blitzed maybe 5 times in the game. That was it. Okay, they did not bring pressure all day on Mahomes because that front four was able to get to Mahomes and put pressure on him enough to get him off his spot, to get him moving around, backtracking. I mean, he looked like Josh Allen in year one of Josh Allen's career. Now, offensively, Tom Brady. What do you say about the GOAT? This is what happens when you have a good offensive coordinator in Byron Leftwich who calls the right plays at the right times. When you have a quarterback that knows defenses, that can read defenses, and either stick with the play or audible and get out of the play and make adjustments, kill a play, go to a running play or whatever, what quarterbacks do with their audibling. When you have a quarterback that can do that, they're going to pick you apart. And that's exactly what Tom Brady did. They used the run to set up the play action. They tried throwing downfield, which I think their deep pass was that one to Mike Evans. But they did try throwing downfield. But basically, Tom Brady took what was given to him, and they made him pay for it. Okay? That's because you have a quarterback who knows and understands defenses. He knows what's coming, and he can either run the play or check out of it, depending on what they're doing. And that's what they did. A lot of quick screens, because Kansas City came out and said, you know what, we're gonna blitz you. We're gonna put pressure on you by blitzing, because they couldn't do it with their front four. Because again, Tampa's offensive line dominated the line of scrimmage. That's where the game really was won. On both sides of the ball, Tampa Bay dominated the line of scrimmage. And when you got a team that can do that, it makes it so much easier for your quarterback to do his job and the receivers do their job. But Tom Brady threw a lot of screen passes, receiver screens, backs out of the backfield screens, quick slants. And then they started hitting him over the middle. And I knew, I had a feeling going into this game, because we hadn't really seen him all season, I knew Gronk was going to show up. And why wouldn't he? I kind of had a feeling they forgot about Gronk. They didn't account for Gronk because they spent so much time double covering Godwin and Evans. They forgot about Antonio Brown. They forgot about Brett or Barrett, whatever his name is, and they certainly forgot about Gronkowski and and also as well as Fournette and Jones. They had a good, solid running game, which allowed the play action to happen. And again, they just took a lot of the underneath things, and eventually they got open because they played man. You double covered Evans, you double covered Godwin, which left everybody else man for man. Nobody can cover Gronk, even in this day and age. As old as he is, as slow as he is, you still can't cover him one-on-one. They couldn't cover Fournette one-on-one. They couldn't cover Brett one-on-one. Or Brady's his name, I think it is, whatever. Tom Brady knew where to go with the football at all times. The best way to, get defenses to back off is quick screens, especially when they're trying to throw a lot of blitzes at you. And, Steve Spagnuolo, that's what he's known for, blitzing. We're going to jam you at the line, we're going to play man coverage with 2 safeties over the top, and we're going to send the house. Even got to the point, it got ridiculous that even in the third quarter, you could clearly see Spagnuolo said, screw it, we're going to blitz, we're sending everybody. And then Brady started hitting them over the middle. They hit Gronk for, I think, like a 33-yard pass right over the middle twice. So, again, Tom Brady was very well prepared. Excellent play calling on both sides of the football for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Leftwich and Bowles called an extraordinary game. Executed very well by Tom Brady. And here's the thing. And I didn't hear this last night, and I was praying I didn't want to hear it. Nobody said that Tom Brady is a game manager. And I hate that word, game manager. To me, game manager sounds like somebody who isn't going to win you the game, but isn't going to do enough to lose the game for you. Okay, Peyton Manning with the Denver Broncos, Peyton Manning's last Super Bowl, he was a game manager. Why? Because he was shot. His arm was shot. He had a noodle for an arm. He couldn't throw the out passes. Uh, he relied heavily on a heavy run game and a great defense. And all he had to do was not have 3-and-outs and not throw interceptions. That's a game manager. He's not going to win you the football game like he did in years past, but he's not going to lose it for you either. But it's more predicated on not losing the football game than it is about winning the football game. Tom Brady is not a game manager. Tom Brady shows that his arm is just as strong as it ever was, and he still has what it takes to get the job done. And all in all, it made for what I thought was an exciting Super Bowl. Like I said, I was pro Tom Brady for the last 2 weeks. You gotta respect him, man. Love him or hate him, you gotta respect him. He is the GOAT. There is no question about it. 7 championships and 10 Super Bowl appearances. That's incredible. I can't even imagine. Do you know what his hands are gonna look like? You know, what his hands are gonna look like with 7 Super Bowl rings on it. I wonder what all those rings, what the value of all those rings together cost once he receives his 7th ring. So yeah, so now the Super Bowl is over. The NFL season has come to an end, and now we get to look forward to the NFL draft and the combine. And as I said, as a high school coach locally here in Western New York, in a month we are going to have a high school football season. So going forward, I'm going to talk a little bit about that. But we're going to cover the draft a little bit, talk about some college players coming out. Free agency obviously is going to be a big issue this year. You got a lot of people in free agency that are looking to go somewhere else. J.J. Watt from Houston, Deshaun Watson from Houston. Where are they going to end up? You know, who else might want to come to Tampa Bay now that they won a Super Bowl? Who knows? You might see Julian Edelman coming over to Tampa Bay, which I hope not. It'll be interesting to see what the Buffalo Bills do. It'll be interesting to see how Kansas City handles the offseason. Who do they draft? Who do they re-sign? And who do they pick up new? It's going to be a very interesting offseason. I'm very excited to see what happens. And so the next month or two, we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk a little bit more high school football. I think I'm going to get into a little X's and O's going forward, breaking it down, simplifying it more for high school football, not so much college and NFL. So yeah, it's gonna be an exciting next few months going forward. Again, the quality of these videos are gonna get better. If you like what I say, you like this show, hit the like button, smash the like button, hit the subscribe button. I'm looking to get as many viewers as I can, so pass the word out there. Again, it's anything football. You can look me up at anything football. If you have a comment or a question you want to send to me, you can make a comment below. You can also hit me up on Facebook at Chris Gallivan. Tweet at me at Chris Gallivan5 and leave your comments for me or ask me a question. If there's something you want to see me talk about, let me know. But that's it. That is it. As far as the NFL, that's a wrap on the season. It was a great year, all things considered, dealing with this COVID thing. Not seeing fans in the stands was a little weird, but all in all, it was a good season, exciting season, especially for me as a Bills fan. You know, we got all the way to the championship, AFC Championship this year. Hopefully, we can repeat that and get over that hump. And it'll be interesting to see what the Buffalo Bills do. So, again, if you like this video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, help me out, like you do with everybody else. And I think my next video will be Friday. I will be moving my location here, from here to my home in the next week or two, so I will be broadcasting from a different place. So, with that in mind, I want everybody to have a great day and enjoy the rest of your time. Later.